Good morning. Today we are discussing about the complex tissue, the second one called phloem. Phloem is also one of the major complex tissue. It is seen associated with the vascular system. The first one is called xylem. Xylem, there we studied about the upward conduction which is performed by xylem elements and the upward conduction of water and minerals and which is called the fat materials. And here the anatomical differentiation in the complex tissue, which is the second one, which is called phloem, and it is nothing but it is the principal food conducting tissue. So during photosynthesis, the plant which produce food materials by using the raw material, and during the synthesis, the food materials which are required for the normal growth and development of the plant body, which is synthesized and which might be transferred to the phloem. It is the second complex tissue, which is called vascular tissue, and which conduct, that is actually it perform, or the phloem perform the downward conduction of these prepared food materials. So it is called food conducting tissue. And here phloem is also a complex in nature. Not only xylem, but also phloem is also complex in nature, because the derivation or differentiation of materials which is seen in the phloem elements. And in primary and secondary phloem are almost similar in type. As in the case of xylem, we can see or understand that the primary xylem and secondary xylem is entirely different. As in the primary level, the xylem elements are of minimum differentiation, but as in secondary xylem, it is more differentiated, or differentiation is wider in the case of xylem. But here xylem, as here in this phloem, either phloem which is present in the primary structure or secondary structure, it is almost similar in type. And as in the case of coming to the secondary phloem, which is derived during secondary growth thickness, it consists of both axial and radial system. So that is the differentiation. It is, once again, I am repeating that primary and secondary phloem are almost similar in type, but we can see a slight differentiation or variation in the differentiation of phloem materials. As in the case of primary phloem, it consists of only the axial system, that is vertical system, the downward conduction in the vertical manner in the primary phloem. And as coming to the secondary phloem, during secondary growth and thickness, the secondary phloem is differentiated, and it consists of both axial and the radial system. Axial means it is also, that is in the secondary phloem, it also conduct the downward manner in the axial position, that is in the vertical position, and also during secondary growth, the increase in gut which may take place as in secondary phloem, and the stem which shows the secondary growth and thickness, increase in gut may happen. So the radial distribution of food materials is also performed by secondary phloem. That is why in secondary phloem it shows both axial and radial system of arrangement of phloem cells. And coming to the different elements of phloem, basic components of phloem are sieve elements and companion cells, phloem parenchyma, phloem fibers, and also the phloem transistors. These are the major components in the phloem element. Okay, while it comes to see the structural differentiation in the phloem, in the secondary phloem, which show all these elements which is differentiated or differentiated in the phloem tissue. Here you can see in the diagram, it is with the large cells which is called sieve tube. Actually, sieve tubes are the conducting channels. The sieve tubes is also otherwise called as phloem vessels. Vessels generally mentioned in the xylem vessels. Xylem vessels are the upward conducting area or the channel or tube. And similarly, the downward conducting tube, which is called sieve tube, or otherwise it is also called the phloem vessels. And here the distribution of the other elements of phloem. It is strictly in connection with or in contact with the sieve tube element. That is, here the other component of phloem is companion cells. The companion means the term itself explains that it is the company or co-related or coincide with the sieve tube. Sieve tubes are the downward channel, and those companion cells are in company with the sieve tube elements, because the food materials majorly pass through the sieve tube and it is transferred towards the neighboring cells. It is through the companion cells. So that is why such cells are also differentiated in the phloem elements. And also, in addition to the companion cells, there we can see the phloem parenchyma. Parenchyma are generally it is the tissue or cells concerned with the storage of food materials. So inside the phloem, some sort of food materials which are stored inside the parenchyma cells, and which is called the phloem parenchyma. So it is the principal tissue or permanent tissue, and here also in phloem the phloem parenchyma is present, and it is also seen in associated with or in between the xylem phloem elements. And the another one which is called the phloem fibers, because phloem are involved parenchyma cells. Naturally, it occurs during secondary growth in thickness. What happened? The phloem is positioned or placed in the outer region. Due to the stellar and extrastellar thickening, the phloem tissue might be disintegrated, or to avoid such disintegration or compression of phloem tissue, there are some cells become thick-walled and become dead in nature, and thereby we can see the fibrous cells in the secondary phloem. And the another one is we can see the transfer cells. Similarly, the same function which is performed in the xylem. Here, phloem tissue or phloem elements also show the presence of transfer cells. Transfer cells are cells which help for transfer of what? Intensive transfer of materials from the sieve tube to the neighboring cells. And here also we can see the transfer cells. The walls become infolded, or the foldings. Here you can see the diagram. It is with the wall in growth. That is, the transfer cells which show occupies more area to transfer or intensive transfer of food materials from the sieve tube. And here, in addition to that, there are the major elements of phloem, such as sieve tube, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, phloem fibers, and also the transfer cells. So here the four major derivatives are there, and the phloem fiber, which is also of two types. One is elongated with a narrow lumen, and the other one is elongated in nature and pointed with the pointed tips, and show somewhat broader lumen, but they are again divided into two. Two types of fibers are seen in phloem. One is septate fiber, and the another one is unseptate. The walls which show the septate nature in one kind, and the other kind do not show such septations. So, two types of fibers are differentiated in the phloem tissue. One is septate fiber and another one is unseptate fiber. And the vertical section or the internal differentiation of the sieve tube, you can see here the diagram is representing the sieve tube. Sieve tube with the end plates. It is also tubular structure, and it which show end-to-end connection. And this end-to-end connection which requires what? The transport of materials. So there the septate sieve plates are the end plate. That is, one tube is ending with a cell wall, and it is also the perforations. because to transport of materials or mediating the transport of materials through the tubular structure. And here, in addition to that, the sieve plate area, which shows some sieve areas which are help for the transport of material from sieve tube to the next one. Here you can see the companion cell. So the axial and the radial conduction, which is performed by the phloem sieve tube member. So that is why here the end-to-end connection is mediated by sieve plate, and they are with the perforations. And the radial conduction, which are performed by the companion cells of the sieve tube element and or phloem element, and the companion cell is seen associated with the sieve tube, and the sieve area, which is actually mediated or pairing with the sieve tube to companion cells. So that is why the cortical or axial system, which is help for the downward transport and in the vertical fashion, and sieve area, which give more wider nature, and also which help to contact with the companion cells. Companion cells, which is close or closely related with the sieve tube element, and by the transport of material is taking place. And also the another one is parenchyma, which help to store little amount of food materials and which perform the storage function. So coming to the conclusion, complex tissue. The second major complex tissue, which is called phloem, and it is associated with the vascular system, which is majorly concerned with the food conducting, and it is also complex in nature because there are 4 or 5 elementary parts are there, or it is getting differentiated into sieve tube, companion cells, fibers, phloem parenchyma, phloem transverse cells, and the fibers again classified into 2, such as septate fiber and unseptate fiber, and also some sclerid cells are also present in the phloem elements. Sclerids are called cells without any pit cavity, and which give more support, and the phloem sclerids are mechanical in function to avoid the compression of phloem laments. And similarly, what we can see, in primary and secondary phloem, both are almost similar in type, but we can see primary phloem, which is consists of only axial system, vertical transport, and secondary phloem consists of both axial and the radial system of transport. Okay, got it. Thank you.